Hey, everybody. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right, wonderful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Miss Thomas kind of introduce this whole process. It has been a long selection process and new process that we're starting for this year. So Miss Thomas, if you want to lead us off.
Sure. I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and for taking time out their schedule. You have been invited because you've shown academic promise and you've been able to step up to the rigor of being an NFCS scholar. And through showing your academic excellence, you have been invited to this meeting to learn about a great opportunity at the high school. And Project Lead the Way is a course that some of you might not be taking right now, but you probably have been exposed to in the past. And so Mr. Persons and I work together in identifying students that show academic progress to excel in the STEM areas and beyond. And so, I hope that you guys really listen to his presentation, what he has to offer, and definitely if you have more follow-up questions, but you're getting an opportunity to be to get in on the ground level of a high school program as a incoming freshman, and definitely this is going to add to your academic record and make you more attractive for colleges and post-secondary opportunities and jobs. So definitely take heed. And if you have any questions, Mr. Person's here and I'm here, and you guys are in great hands.
Thank you, Miss Thomas. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, I'm going to get right to it, guys. So welcome to the Project Lead the Way recruitment meeting. As I stated, that this is our first year that we're holding a recruitment meeting like this. So I kind of want to explain what the high school Project Lead the Way program looks like and how it's different than the middle school one. There are some key differences. So here's the current elementary and middle school outlook. You guys are coming from the middle school pathway, which is called Gateway. Ms. Thomas taught computer science for innovator and makers and app creators, and Ms. McMahon taught green architecture. This is more about computer science, and this is more about engineering and how it fits in with being eco-friendly and green. This is actually my computer science class presenting their app that is going to be changed and turned into an application that our students at the high school use next year. So you can just see, like, the middle school students are looking at a high school project that actually won a contest that is now going to be implemented in the high school. So that's just one of the things that Project Lead the Way gives the high school that you might not have had the opportunity to see at the middle school. So I just want to go over our history. We have a very long history of success, and we've seen a lot of growth over the years since 2014 when it was introduced. We started with engineering, and then we introduced computer science. We expanded to over 100 students in 2016, 2017. We got recognized through Project Lead the Way as a high school that is highly distinguished due to our numbers and our percentage of students that were in the program. And from this, sorry guys, I thought I was sharing my screen. So this is the growth enrollment that we've seen, which is fantastic. So from 2014 through 2018, we've seen great numbers. We were highly distinguished in 2017. We actually had 6 students pass the AP exam with receiving a 3 or higher in AP Computer Science A, which I'll get to in a little bit in our computer science pathway. So we continued our growth with having a lot of success with our program, where we had close to our, we almost reached distinguished level here And then we had a little bit of dip due to staffing needs. But we're looking for you guys to be a part of this fantastic new programming that we offer in computer science, and we offer full levels of engineering. So I'm going to get into more into the Project of the Way program and how that works for you guys, and specifically how this program is going to set you apart from your other students that are not in the Project of the Way program. So currently we offer 2 different courses and pathways. We offer the Computer Science pathway. We offer Computer Science Essentials, Computer Science AAP, or Cybersecurity. For engineering, we offer Introduction to Engineering Design and then Principles of Engineering. And I'll get into each of these courses in a little bit more in depth in a little bit. But with more enrollment, with your involvement, we can expand to even more AP courses and even more engineering courses. And potentially, with your interest, the biomedical area opens up. So just keep that in mind, that as a 9th grader, you could see this expand even further by your involvement. So the computer science pathway works like this. The Computer Science Essentials course would be the first course that your student enters in. So you take the knowledge and your understanding of algebra, and you start applying it to making apps through MIT App Inventor. You start applying it to robotics using VEX code. And then you apply your knowledge with Amazon Web Services, and you use a real computer language called Python to problem solve. So this is what your students would see in MIT App Inventor. You can see that it looks very similar to what you might see on an Android app. That is because it's using an Android setup to then be able to create different components, and then each of these components is programmable. So this app is trying to get the panda to eat this sprite, and this sprite is going to be something that it's going to eat. Like, let's say it's a bamboo shoot, or let's say it's a delicious food that a panda would also eat. And then as the screen changes colors, due to the programming, you have less and less time to score. So your students learn how to create apps like this. They also will learn how to program using block-based coding. The block-based coding looks like this, where it's some words and it all kind of like clips together. And then the robot can move virtually through virtual reality, or we can use our physical robot to actually make it move through the course. So your student can test it in the playground and then actually make it show off what it's actually going to do in person. So the last thing is students take what they've learned, take all of their knowledge, and start applying it to variables and methods. They learn about functions, learn how to print, they learn about different arrays, they learn about for loops, and they learn how to create all this code from scratch. And the students all know the ins and outs of how to build all of this. And this is a hangman game that is a text-based game that they know how to program, and they set up their own words and they set up their own picture of what the hangman would look like. And this is what the computer science pathway would look like for your freshmen. They would come in and take computer science essentials or computer science essentials, and then they would take computer science AAP or cyber, and then they can take their last course in cybersecurity or computer science A. That 4th year, they could take an engineering course, or that maybe they want to try another AP course. It's really up to them. The engineering pathway. Students come in and start off at the Introduction to Engineering and Design. This is for students that really, they're not sure they want to work with a computer, but they're good with working with their hands. And this really gives them a chance to use this design process, where students define a problem, generate concepts, develop the solution, construct and test, evaluate the solution, and then present a solution. When you present a solution, you then always go back and create a new solution, and you iterate You go back to construct and test and evaluate solution and present your solution. You never stop here. You always go back. Students are going to learn about how to draw, how to make force free builds, and then they're going to use a computer automated design program called Autodesk Inventor. And what that's going to allow them to do is they're going to then have the opportunity to 3D model their own designs and potentially 3D print those designs. This is what an isometric design looks like, where they learn how to draw this weird looking 3D shape. And after they learn how to do this, they then learn how to do free builds, where they look at all the forces and all the directions that the vectors are applying to their design. They then are given a challenge like this, where they are given an opportunity to create an aerodynamic vehicle, and they have to use these pieces of equipment, and they are only given those pieces of equipment to make it work. And then they are challenged to see which one is going to go the furthest in their class. And they do this with groups, so they learn about collaboration as well. After they try it once, they then have to iterate their design to make it better, and hopefully it's better. And this is what Autodesk Inventor looks like. They learn how to 3D model different inventions that they have and products that they have to solve real-world problems. This is what the engineering pathway looks like. So I know it's a lot shorter. So freshmen would learn Introduction to Engineering Design, and then their next course would be Principles in Engineering. So in their junior and senior year, if they wanted to, they could take computer science classes, or they could take other AP courses. There's a combination pathway where they can take introduction course in Introduction to Design, and then they could take Computer Science Essentials, or they could start off with Computer Science Essentials and then decide that they hate that and go into Introduction to Engineering. So this is just another version of the same two pathways that you saw before. These are our three teachers that are trained. I'm trained in Computer Science Essentials, Cybersecurity, and AP Computer Science. Jim Schmidt is trained in Principles of Engineering and Intro, so he's our engineering expert. And then Victoria Kraft is trained in Computer Science Essentials. So these are the three teachers that potentially would be teaching your student next year. So some key factors that I really love about this is students learn from doing. So they learn about the activity, they practice the activity, they then are given a project to show off all their skills, and then they're given a problem. And that's typically our class goes, and there's very few quizzes and tests. There might be some quizzes or tests thrown in there, like a midterm or a final, but basically we learn from actually doing the curriculum. They also teach everybody about how to become career ready and how they can properly prepare themselves for the 21st century jobs. So cybersecurity jobs, software developers, they can learn about how to become a mechanical engineer. These are all different careers that students are put in their classes to then learn about so that they can come up with what do they want to do for college. They're going to learn 21st century learning skills, how to use technology, how to use different softwares, how to use cloud-based computing services like Amazon Web Services. Students are going to learn how to present themselves, create digital representations and presentations. There's a high selection process for this. Students have to, one, be selected like you guys all have been, and then they also have to have an interest in this. So they have a high level of interest, and then ultimately comes down to problem solving. So we give them all the tools. They then have to come up with the solution that best fits the tool. There is a huge advantage at the high school for doing this. Students get a one-to-one laptop. They get a case. They can use this computer in other classes that the teacher sees fit. This computer is very highly powered due to the hardware and software requirements. There is a $75 rental fee every year for receiving the computer, and that covers any damages and rental of the equipment. And then there's a year-to-year guarantee where if your student comes in as a freshman, they will have the same computer when they leave as a senior. So we don't have any like, oh, this computer got broken by this person. There's none of that. And that's something that we're starting this year. There's a great way to get college credit with this. So students that finish engineering classes or computer science classes can apply for a different college credit, and they can then transfer into the school of their choice. They don't have to necessarily go to these colleges, but they can then take those credits and transfer them into their field of study. We're also AP plus Project of the Way certified. So what that means is there's 3 elements. By combining AP and Project of the Way courses, students get a portfolio that's well diverse. So if you take an AP course and 2 Project of the Way courses, they then would get this accreditation. So the goal is by their junior year, after they pass, they apply, and then they would get this for applying to colleges when they go off to their senior year. It's a great, great opportunity that no other students get in the school. So here's some milestones. So we trained Jim Schmidt and we trained Victoria Kraft. I couldn't fit her in there. We had identified students. This is the stage that we're at right now. I'm teaching you guys about the selection process and how you will get rostered. That's going to be through Kevin Ouellette if you decide to join our program. And over the summer, we're going to have a student acceptance program and opportunity for students to get their laptop in the summer. And this is the first time that we would ever have done that because it's something brand new. We want to get the students off and running. There's typically 2 weeks of downtime. We want to stop that. And by joining our program and giving in your rental fee, you then get your laptop and learn all about your coursework in the summertime prior to school actually starting. So I know I went through like a lot of information, and I hope that this kind of like gives you a better idea of what that 1-page poster that I sent over to you guys was. I really believe in the Project of the Way process and what benefits your students. And I'm seeing a lot of success stories where students are being very successful in their coursework. And even students that don't continue with Project of the Way, they're saying that they have a leg up in just knowing the 21st century tech skills. So I'm here to answer any of your questions and next step questions and yeah, so I'm all ears.
Advanced placement, that's what
Hey, I was just wondering what I might have missed that slide or the timestamps. When does a decision have to be made on the course direction?
So I'm going to be sending out a form for you guys to decide if you want to jump into these courses. And then you have until Kevin Ouellette locks in the schedule. I can get a more well-rounded answer about that due date when you have to officially make that decision from him. So I'm going to write down that question right now.
Okay.
To then circle back to him on a due date of when he needs to know by, because he's ultimately the one that's going to switch your freshman schedule around to fit this course in to the schedule, because there does need to be some tweaking for this opportunity. And he's very excited about this. I'm very excited about this. Jess is excited about this. We've been trying to get this going for the last 3 years. So, getting this right is really, really crucial for us.
Great. Yeah, appreciate it. It looks really interesting.
Yeah, I'm really wowed by the students' abilities and students that are in Algebra 1 and in 8th grade are top-notch students to pick from, and that's one of the reasons why we selected you all, as well as being interested in just that next step of like, where do I want to be in the next 4 years, college or career readiness.
So you had mentioned.
Yep.
So you had mentioned about the computers being picked up early.
Yes.
So, and that they would have a chance. So is that just so that they're familiar with the computers that they're going to be using, or?
Yeah. So normally we wait like 1 to 2 weeks into school before they even get a laptop. I really wanted to make sure and ensure that the student had it in their hands so that they become familiar, that no curriculum will be provided. It's just like a familiarity, so that on day one, we can start delivering curriculum.
Okay.
Because we lose that time just for the administrative task of getting all the laptops to the classroom and getting IT to be there. This would be one day where they come in, get all the computers, and then they're out, so that they get familiar, that they know where to go, how it works, because it is a high-powered machine. It is a laptop. It has the best RAM. It has the highest specs, and there is some cool features that the Chromebooks that our high school students have that are not in the classes and they're not one-to-one would get. So there is that benefit.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Persons.
Yeah.
You mentioned the possibility of biomedical aspect of the program.
Correct.
So incoming freshmen this year, if there's enough interest, will that happen before they're like juniors and seniors?
So what I want to do is I would love to get that 120 number. I know that's like a magic number for computer science. We have about 170 seats of Project Lead the Way that we can offer. So my goal would be, once we hit that number of 120, then we would open up biomedical as a possibility. So my goal would be by that senior year, that first level, and I can go back. So that first level of that course would be something that would be offered to our high school students, because I think that is Principles of Biomedical is a course that dives into multiple different disciplines, and you can see it goes into medical interventions, biomedical interventions, and human body systems. So they really learn like the basics of the next 3 tiers. And from what I hear from Project Lead the Way teachers, this is typically the heavily most attended and most diverse group of students in the high school that do offer it. So I'm really chomping at the bit to find someone in the science department to open that up as a possibility. But I gotta show that our students are clamoring for it. So if I get that 120 number, I feel really confident saying to our administration, hey, I would love to identify a science teacher to get trained in Principles of Biomedical, because it is a separate certification to their teaching certification. Yep. So there's that aspect as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question, Mr. Persons. So are we just going to be getting an email then, like in the next couple weeks, with the form that you mentioned for the students to sign up and select which one they wanted for the computer science and engineering?
Yep, that's my goal, is to get that to you guys by tonight, included with the presentation, just in case anyone just forgot, or I want to give everybody the same information. I don't want to try to give this presentation more than once. It's really important that it's same continuity. So the form will be sent with the video, the slides, so you'll have access to every single element of this presentation with the interest form. So is your student interested? Which pathway do they want to go to? If they're not sure, email me and I can kind of point them in the right direction.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Actually, you know what? I did have a question.
Yeah.
As far as, I'm sorry, this is Caroline.
Hi.
Casting it. This, as far as the classrooms, you had said the total. Is that the total number of kids that are in it, like freshman to senior?
Yes.
Okay,
so this year we had 77 students enroll in the courses. So we had 10 students in Introduction to Engineering. We had 10 students in Principles of Engineering. That was our lowest engineering total since the beginning. We're hoping to boost that way up. And then we had 57 students in differing levels. So Computer Science Essentials, Computer Science A, and Cybersecurity. And that's really close to where we want the number to be for growth to occur. So I would love to see at least 23 more students in there and 20 more students in the early engineering courses. That way we can then have like diversity of like, okay, I want to have a student start at Intro to Engineering and then move to Computer Science Essentials, or I want to have a student that starts at Computer Science Essentials and go through the whole pathway. That gives a lot of flexibility for our program to then expand to other pathways.
So these are smaller than so these classes basically, they're not 30 kid classes then.
Yeah, the largest class that I have ever taught in Project Lead the Way was 26.
Okay.
And the way that it works is kids get partnered up. So there's 13 groups that I have to worry about.
Okay.
And then, so it's a lot of small group work. It's a lot of individual. It's a lot of self-time management, all stuff that I teach. Like it's built into the curriculum on how to do that. So if you're worried about like, if Mr. Persons gives my student a project and they have 3 days to work on it, it's not like I move on to other content. They have 3 physical hours in class. So on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they have time to complete it, be creative, ask me questions, be collaborative with their classmates. And then on that Wednesday, they're expected to turn it in.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like built-in time management for these courses. And that's Project Lead the Way's mantra. Just like how we work every single day in business, that's how they want it to be in their class.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? So as I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at this email address, bpersons@nfcs.k12.pa.us. I'll be glad to answer it. Be on the lookout for an email from me for an interest form for your student, which pathway they would like to potentially go to. If you're not sure, we then can have another email correspondence. The information that you give me is going to be shared with Kevin Ouellette, and then Kevin Ouellette will then schedule them for that course. Okay, I'll get that answer to the one question about what is the date that needs to be the drop dead date, and I'll have it due like that day before once we learn that date, and then so you have all that time to decide on what class or what pathway you want to enter. And you're not locked into a pathway, so don't feel nervous if you go into engineering and you're like, I don't like it, or if you go into computer science and you don't like it, you can always switch, okay? I've had a lot of people switch back and forth multiple times to figure out where they want to be. So it's not the end of the world, okay? Well, thank you, Ms. Thomas, for leading us off. I really appreciate it. If you're still out on the call, thank you so much for everybody and all the parents and all the students on the call. I hope that this has given you more guidance into the whole process. As I said, this is brand new to us, and we're very, very excited to offer this opportunity to you all as an incoming freshman to educate you guys on Project Lead the Way and what it's all about. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.